Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're really excited to have you joining us today. It's going to be a very fun show that we have for you this morning. We're going to be joined first by André Xavier. He's the co-owner of both CVille Hop-On Tours and Patch Brewing Company, which is on the newest side in Gordonsville. So we're really excited to have him join us. I mean, Jerry has described him as a serial entrepreneur. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to just learning about all the things that he's doing and the ideas that he has. And then, of course, at 10:50, we're going to be joined by Krista Varanyak. So she's with Jazzercise Charlottesville. So they're integrating they're integrating jazz with exercise, with aerobics, with fitness. So that's really
should be
exciting.
good.
I mean, as someone who loves jazz,
I mean, if
does not usually like exercise.
I was going to say, if you don't like exercise but like jazz, this is perfect.
I think it's going to be really exciting to learn about. So as always, you know, we're grateful to be on the I Love CVille set. We got Judah behind the camera working his magic. And
he did this morning.
He did this morning, to be sure.
Take your hat out to Judah again.
We always take our hat off to him, the magic he works. As always, we're presented by Emergent Financial Services. We are powered by Cristel Noel State Farm Agency, and we are partnering with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So, I mean, to open our show today, as you know, we always have the finance topic on hand. I think we've got an interesting one because there's a story, almost like a parable, if you will, that we were talking about the other day, and how it references, because we'll often get asked, you know, do you think recession's coming? What do you think is going to be the catalyst for the new one? Will it be housing again?
Exactly.
Will it be this? Will it be
you're talking about market crashing. And, what's going to cause the next market crash?
Exactly.
Everybody always asks that, right? And always somebody's saying, you know, when's the next black swan event? And of course, the whole point of black swans is that you never really know.
It's not supposed to be predictable.
But the reason we're bringing this up is that a few days ago I read an article with regard to it was these three scientists, and they were reminiscing about the time they used to go to the beach, and you know how you take your bucket and you put full of sand and then you turn it over and you make castles, right? And so they remember that sometimes you'd put one and then you try to make the next bucket put on top of the previous one, and sometimes it would hold and sometimes it wouldn't. So of course now they're mature and they're trying to figure out, well, why is that? How does it happen? And why does it happen? So they decided to create a program. And so what they did was they literally started from scratch and creating little pebbles, right? They started creating mounds of pebbles just to see when that mountain would collapse, right? And what they realized that it didn't matter whether it was 10 sand pebbles, 100 sand pebbles, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 sand pebbles. It would be created and all of a sudden, boom, it would fall. And they couldn't really tell why that was happening, because sometimes, like I said, 10 sand pebbles, boom, would happen, or 100,000 sand pebbles, or more than that. But eventually that mound of sand would collapse, right? And so what they did was they created a program to try to figure out, what was happening with these mounds, exactly what was going on. Why would it collapse, and what was the reason for it? See, mathematically they could figure it out. But what they did figure out, and in other words, so mathematically they found out that it's really, in a way, it's random. In other words, you don't really know when it's going to happen, but it will happen, right? And so what they realized was that when they created the mounds, right, there was a part of the mound that they kind of lit in green, meaning that it was stable, and part of the mound was in red, right, because meaning that it was unstable, right? So it could go any time. And so they kept dropping pebbles. If you drop the pebble on the green side, the red side became bigger and bigger, right, until the point where obviously it would collapse. If you drop the pebble on the red side, obviously that was the pressure point, and so it would then begin to collapse, right? But the interesting thing was that it wasn't that pebble caused the collapse. The collapse, everything was already there for the collapse. He started the chain event, right? Exactly. Almost like the domino effect, right? You hit one, and then they all begin to fall. So same thing here. You drop that one pebble, and all the other ones begin to shift, and therefore demolishing the whole sample, right? And so what they realized that this is very similar into a certain respect to finance. In other words, in the financial industry, there's a lot that is going on. Behind the scenes, everybody's putting on certain type of risk exposure in the marketplace. Some people are leveraged, some people are not, but everybody has some form, and we're talking about major plays, banks, countries, governments, etc. Everybody's playing in the
Absolutely.
market. You as an individual don't see that, but it's all happening, right? And so what they realize is that that's what happens in markets sometimes. It's this kind of the same pebble effect. And there's another great economist, Minsky, he basically also talked about the fact that what we've been doing over the last 30, 40 years, and in particular over the last 10, 15 years, is we keep patching. In other words, we keep trying to avoid that collapse. So
we keep putting it on the green part, basically.
Yeah.
And make it higher and higher without triggering the red part, but you just end up with the bitter sand dazzle.
Exactly, and not even that. Maybe you realize that you put one on the red and you got lucky and it didn't collapse. So how do you protect that, right? So think of the Fed, right? Every time there's a tantrum because they say, we're thinking of doing X. And the market said, oh, my Lord, if they're going to do that, that means this is going to happen and that's going to happen and the market's going to crash and the market starts going down 1 or 2%. And all of a sudden, it just feels like it's chaos, right? When really, it really isn't chaos yet, right? And so the Fed tries to protect that. And I think that's his point of view, is the more we continue to do that, the more the market grows and grows and grows, right? But we've patched it all up, really just trying to protect a downturn in the marketplace or downturn in the economy. It makes the eventuality worse, right? Yeah. And so I think that's one of the things that we always talk about, right? When we talk about what are we doing for our clients, it's always the point of view of not what, not is the market going down 4% or 5%. In essence, those are events that are good, right? We're talking a little, Nicholas and I were talking a little about this morning, right? In other words, when you talked about, I think it was in Yellowstone, they used to put out every little fire, right? And they realized that's not good, because if you let the little fires go, then what happens when there's a big fire that occurs and it hits that area there was a little fire, the fire dies down. And the same thing with earthquakes, right? In other words, if you go to California and you open up the newspaper, there's basically hundreds of earthquakes on a daily basis, right? And that is actually good, because those little, very tiny earthquakes, which you do not feel, release the pressure, right? And the big one's coming because pressure is constantly building. And it's the same thing in finance. Yeah, someday you're going to have another market crash, most likely. I mean, it's going to happen somewhere along the line. It's just as inevitable
as the sand.
Exactly. And something's going to trigger. I mean, 2008 we talk about obviously the mortgage fiasco, but it was more than that. Where it started and how it started and all the risk that was taken around there is what caused the collapse, not just the fact that at the last minute one particular broker dealer said,
the subprime mortgage crisis by itself doesn't cause that kind of contagion unless there's too much leverage, too much shadow banking, if you want to call it that, all these different things that we're doing on underneath it.
That's right. Exactly.
A lot of inventory buildup, so many things going underneath it that it looks like one thing caused the whole collapse. But I guess what you're saying is that just shows that there was a lot of red underneath there. There was a lot of unstable ground, such that when you put this last piece on top, it falls apart.
Exactly. And if you think about 2008, certainly the government and the Fed came in and tried to once again bail out the situation, which one always wonders, if they hadn't bailed out certain industries, would we be better off today, worse off today? I guess one will never know, right?
We'll never know.
But it's a question, right? And so we have the same issue today, that every time there's a little event going on, it just feels like the central governments of the world come in and try to bail out the situation, try to patch it up. And is that good or bad for the economies of the world? Is that good or bad for the markets? But
we certainly enjoy it in the short term. I guess the question is, does it just make for a more unstable foundation on which now, if the next one hits, you're just tall, there's more ways to fall. Like the higher you build the castle without falling, the deeper the fall.
That's right. The wider the damage, right? It's that skewness of it just doesn't happen in the middle of the curve anymore, or the middle of the mountain. The whole thing begins to, and so it impacts more and more people, more industries, etc. But it's again going back to the protection part. It's why when you create portfolios, you have to be cognizant of the fact that at any point in time that can happen. So you can be euphoric and say, wow. I mean, it's like the beginning of this year. You had, to a certain respect, a recession last year, even though it was a 2.5-month recession, which is the shortest ever in history. it's certainly you have one, right?
It was deep enough to feel.
Exactly. So you had it, right? So you came into this year saying, wow, I mean, the economy just has to continue to do well, and boom, right? And yet you're here in August, and you had that conversation with Jerry a couple of weeks ago this week, and you scratch your head and you say, I'm not, it's not a 99% convincing rate anymore. Now it's maybe 80% because there's so many other events going on in the world, and even here in the U.S., you start saying, how is that going to impact the consumer? Exactly. How's that going to impact businesses? I mean, businesses, from a technological point of view, spend more money this year than they've ever had, right? So they've improved technology, which also tells you that they recognize that technology is the future, right? And so it was a great opportunity in, I guess, 2020 to recognize we're not ready for tomorrow yet, so we need to do something. And I think that's also what has transpired, in the sense that this event occurred, we recognized that we needed to do something, and they've invested heavily this year. But again, you need to make sure that portfolios are protected, because that event happens overnight before you know it.
Exactly.
And you've made it very clear so many times that the market goes up like an escalator, but when it comes down like an elevator,
like an
right?
Elevator.
So and that's what happens when
like an elevator that somebody
another elevator. That's right.
Yeah, that lost
goes
control
from 100th floor to
exactly.
the first floor with no stop.
Like
yeah.
one of those movies where
right.
the elevator thing's been cut at the top and
exactly.
you just
Exactly.
That's you got to get out
That's
somehow.
Right. Exactly.
No, exactly. And really that's the beauty of what we have to do as portfolio managers. Is it's not about just, people will often ask, is there a recession coming? What do you think you should do? And in reality, what the goal with portfolio management is not to sit there and say, can I predict when the recession comes? And because if we predict when the recession comes, right, you get out completely the day before the recession comes. You don't have cash. Recession hits, then next day you buy everything, right? But what you do is, the question is, when is the portfolio coming? Can I predict the recession? Can I predict the stock market crash? The question is the portfolio properly protected when it inevitably happens on a day that I don't predict?
That's right. That's right. And again, it's not to protect 100% of the portfolio, it's to protect enough of the portfolio so that you don't lose everything.
Exactly.
You want to, if you lose a small portion, especially if you don't, if you don't even need it, you don't lose it. It's an unrealized loss as opposed to a realized loss. And an unrealized loss means that you can get it back, right? And so that's the goal, is to really protect for those events. And particularly for people that need the money on a monthly basis, you want to make sure that the money's there for when they need it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So I just thought, again, that was I read that, and that was
sort of a way for, I think, people to picture what a market crash actually looks like. It's not the market is super healthy, doing fine, some crazy thing happens, and now the whole thing collapses.
That's right.
Right. It's usually
building.
There are underpinnings of foundational weakness that then lead to the decline.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's very. Always love the anecdotal tidbits and the stories and
those are good.
The ways for people to just think about things in new ways.
And it's good too sometimes to explain to people, because the finances can be somewhat complex and difficult, and why did this happen or why did that happen? It's never one reason; it's multiple reasons. And again, it's the same as the sand. It's not that last one. That last one begins the kind of domino effect where everything underneath it begins to bump into each other, create chaos, and everything falls apart. So it's the same issue. Yeah.
Exactly.
But we have two great guests on.
Two great guests
because I know everybody says, enough with the sand pebbles.
Enough with the sand pebbles. I want to see, Nicholas Urpí's already commenting. He says, it seems I did Xavier and Alex both got the pink shirt memo.
This is not pink, Mr.
Red.
Nicholas. This is red and white.
Red, and this is salmon.
I'm American. I got my blue pants and red and white shirt. Patriotic, right here.
And we're going to stall a little. This is us reading his comment while we make our connection to André Xavier.
Oh, wonderful.
He's the co-owner of CVille Hop-On Tours and Patch Brewing Company in Dordsville. We're really excited to welcome to the show André Xavier. André, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you guys this morning?
Doing
good,
well.
André.
How about you?
We're doing great.
Doing good. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. We're sad not to have you on in person, but we will have you on in person soon.
I know. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, it's just
That's okay.
No, it happens.
That's why they created Skype, just in case this happened.
Exactly.
I know, but hey, we're here, so that's what matters, right? So we are good to talk.
Exactly. So for those of our audience who don't know you, or aren't familiar with you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So my name is André Xavier. I'm originally from Brazil. So I've been here in the U.S. now for almost 15 years. Okay. So nice. I came under the J1 visa to work at a local hotel that these days called the Clifton Inn. Stayed there for about a year and a half before I met my wife, today's wife. We dated, and then after 2 years at the Clifton, I left, went to work for Keswick Hall. I was at Keswick Hall for about 5.5 years. When I left, I was their director of guest services. I went to Washington, D.C. to work for the Four Seasons. And that's when I quickly realized, like, wow, I think I made a mistake. Love the corporate ladder climbing, but at the same time, just to realize how much I was given to that employer, and quickly make me be aware that, you know, as my life was growing with my wife, we at the time were thinking about starting to have a family, having kids, and I truly could not conceive the idea of not being a present father and being part of my family. So we made the difficult choice at the time to quit my stellar career in hospitality that took me over 15 years to build, and return to Charlottesville and start from scratch with business, which the first business that we have was CVille Travel. So CVille Travel, we are a full-service travel agency. We are being in business now for a little over 9 years, and we've been very fortunate. We are now associated with Virtuoso, which is probably one of the most luxurious consortia of travel agents around the world. Wow. We do specialize in unique travel, so a lot of our clients, we do overseas travel. Of course, with COVID, we pivot the model a little bit, so we're doing a lot of domestic travel lately. Mm-hmm. So if anyone has any needs in terms of travel, can be a simple, you know, rental to be a very complex trip, we can help. And of course, as you know, we do speak Spanish as well. So if any of the viewers need that kind of assistance, we can help as well. So after CVille Travel, about 2 or 3 years in, we started our second business with CVille Tours. So CVille Tours, we're a local tour operator in Charlottesville. We curate probably some of the best, most unique experiences that we have. We kind of pivot our business by year 2 of existence to not so focus only in tourists, but also in corporate travel. So corporate outings became our bread and butter. And of course, with COVID coming, again, pivoted back again. But one thing that's awesome about CVille Tours, for about 5 years now, we do have a partnership with Lexus. So Lexus, the car manufacturer, is one of it is our main exclusive sponsor. And we do have a market agreement with them where we have what they call experiential marketing. So we do have a collection called Taste of Luxury of 3 of our top experiences that is kind of paired with the Lexus experience. So it's a pretty awesome partnership.
Neat. Yes, that's a pretty cool partnership.
And then,
it certainly is.
Yeah, and then after CVille Tours, probably by year 4 or so, 3 or 4, kind of start thinking again on kind of market changes were happening in Charlottesville, and at that time noticed that we had a lot of limited service hotels coming to the area. So that kind of made me aware that Charlottesville tourism market was changing to become a little more affordable. So because CVille Tours having all private tours, our price points much higher, so I decided that we need something more affordable. So that's when I came across my business partner, John Craig, who also worked at Keswick Hall at the time, and went there for drinks one night, and John was there. I was like, hey, how's everything? He was the assistant food and beverage director at the time. And he's like, man, I'm burnt out. I just gave my notice. I'm quitting. I was like, what do you mean? You're like 25 years old, dude. How can you be burnt out at that time? and I was like, you know what? Come see me on Monday that I actually have an idea for a tour. I started to do craft beverage tours, and put in perspective, so we're talking about 8 years ago. 8 years ago, actually, to be exactly. And then he came, he did a couple of my craft beverage tours, mostly beer, and he said, you know, that's a concept that I love. I love beer. I love to talk to people. I can do that for a living. So we had a couple discussions, couple ideas in terms of how can we make that in a new business. And then one day driving up on 29 North, we saw a bus for sale. We turned around, we talked to the guy, we purchased the first bus. And we start doing what today's Hop On Tour. So we start with one bus about 6 years ago. Today we own and operate a little over 18. We have 18 buses right now. Yes, we've been very blessed. The community really responded well to the concept. And we're still expanding. Hop On actually just yesterday, we finalized a new arm of the business. We're actually now entering to the private school transportation business. So yes, we have it's a new business, but still under the umbrella of Hop On. So we do have a partnership with a very prominent private school where we'll be transporting their kids daily. So we purchased a school bus, like a yellow full-size school bus. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's just kind of a new avenue for us to explore. So we're very thankful for that opportunity.
Absolutely, so much transformation. I love that you keep going from
that's
one.
Right, from
you're
one
always
thing.
Pivoting and thinking of the new. What's the next step? What's the new thing to examine? I mean, Jerry calls you a serial entrepreneur, which I think is probably a good description for what you do.
So after that, then more recently, about say 3 years ago, I started another business called CVille Transportation. So that business, I'm a broker for transportation, and we specialize in wedding transportation. So we brokerage the 55 passenger charter buses, the big buses. And that business is kind of incredible how much it grew. Of course, COVID took a hit on that as well, but now we're back and we're doing really well with that business as well. And of course, the latest for now and the most exciting, it is Patch Brewing Co. So Patch, or brewery and farm brewery and wineries, coming on schedule so far. So we actually are getting ready to do our phase 1 opening. Wow. So we call that our soft opening, that we should be, can't say for sure, but I think we are about close to do the second week, maybe second or into the third week of September.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Wow. Right in time for the fall.
Exactly. Yeah. Timing has been perfect for us. We're very excited to be, opening that in Gordonsville. The Orange County has been fantastic to us. They've been very supportive. And Route 231 truly is becoming something very special. Now we do have more options in the route. So before it was just Keswick Vineyards and Castle Hill. Now we have Mary Mill, not too far from 231. Then Keswick, Castle Hill, Patch. We have the Ice House in Gordonsville.
Yes.
Chef Hartman is working on a new project to be a distillery on Route 15 and 33. So there's a lot of action going on that area. And of course, it connects all the way up to Barboursville Vineyards. So there's a lot to see in Orange County, and it's just a fantastic area that I foresee a lot of growth for the area for sure.
That's what you're seeing here. Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions, is where do you see that area growing?
Yeah, so as you know, Route 151, it is probably the most popular route that we have in Central Virginia for a reason. Amazing views, amazing choices of venues. And I think 231 is coming to kind of complement that kind of experience, because we do have a lot of repeat clients, right? So a lot of people do come back to this area, which is great because they don't live very far, right? They live in Richmond, they live in Northern Virginia, so it's easy to come. So now that they have experienced 151, so 231 now becomes kind of the second route to go to. And geographically speaking, now 231 is closer to Richmond, it's closer to Northern Virginia to be in terms of driving from versus 151, right? So and we also closer to larger bodies of population like Zion Crossroads, the east part of town as well, Keswick, Pentops. And also, in a strange way, north, so 29 north, people by the airport, they can get to 33, Route to 33 and come down. So there's a lot of large bodies of population within a short drive for us.
Exactly, and that makes perfect sense geographically.
So I was going to, can you hear me, just in case?
Right.
Oh, you can say it and then I'll repeat the question.
Okay, so my question was going to be, do the Hop On Tours focus in particular, like with wineries and breweries and things like that, or is there, or do they have like different areas where they'll take people to?
So the question is, so for the Hop On Tours, does it focus mostly on breweries and wineries, or are there different types of areas or experiences that people can be taken to?
Sure. So the awesome part about the Hop On Tours is you have the ability as a customer to buy a seat on the bus, right? So you can be one person, two people, you can have a small party and still partake on the tour. And that, imagine the hop-on bus is like a subway line, right? So it has a predetermined line with stops. And then you as an individual, you choose which stops you want to make. So all of our tours, no, almost all of our tours, you can have 4 stops. So you choose 4 stops. But doesn't mean that that bus only go to those 4. We have 12 to 14 choices within that route. And we mix match. There's wineries, there's breweries, distilleries, cideries, meaderies, everything in between, and on the route. So you can have one, like a small group, and you can go to a winery to please some, and then go to a brewery to please the others. So that truly is the secret sauce of Hop-On, is the choice is given to the customer and how they can create their public tour, yet is a private experience.
That's really
And the perfect thing is that you can taste every single one of those wines or beers or whiskeys or whatever it may be, and you don't have to drive.
And beers, right? And you don't have to
it's
drive.
Perfect.
Exactly. Now we keep people safe, indeed. Yes.
We keep people. That's for sure. That's for sure. So I mean, as part of what we love at Today Mañana is that when we have on individuals like yourself, like the immigrant story of overcoming adversity to achieve success here in this country. And so, what's sort of been your experience as an immigrant entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So I would say I consider myself very blessed to have come to Charlottesville area, to where we come, where the town itself, it is very welcoming in terms of entrepreneurship. But at the same time, and that's no secret, Charlottesville, it is a hard town to break into. So to be able to make friends, to be able to be accepted into the social circles, it is hard. Again, I was blessed enough to be married to someone who is local, so that really opened a lot of doors to myself. And also, I guess the biggest challenge that I think an immigrant can face is the language barrier. Sometimes that can be a challenge. I was blessed enough that at a young age I was able to learn English in Canada. I traveled the world before coming here, so I had that international experience before, but not a lot of people had that opportunity. However, at the same time, that so-called handicap is also a blessing, because being able to speak multiple languages is actually an asset. And in the U.S., depending on the industry you're looking at, there is a lot of opportunities for people who are bilingual or trilingual that really can get you a leg up against locals. So there is also, people should always look for the opportunities, right? So if you have for a specific skill, there is going to be an industry that does need your skill that you can find for sure. But yeah, so that being said, and I think the biggest advantage that we have as immigrants as well is that the drive, right? The work ethic.
The drive.
My wife always tells me, it's like, you're always thinking of a new business. You barely open patch already talking about your next thing. And what I tell her is, like, for me now, to the point that we have like over 5 businesses, I love the process more so than the actual business per se. Of course, I love every business individually, but the process of building a business is truly what is enjoyable to me. But going back to the immigrant thing, is I think that's something that immigrants do have into our DNA, is the desire to work hard, the desire to do better, right? And in America, still to this day, is if you work hard, if you are honest, if you follow the rules, you will be rewarded, right? But the one thing I'm learning as I grow is, like, work hard just not enough anymore, right? You have to work smart as well. So you have to apply both, right? Because if you look back home, like a lot of people work really hard, right? But they can barely make. But it's not necessarily about working hard physically. It's about working smart mentally, but also keep that mentality of, I always wants to work. Myself, I do have long days, even though, I said when I start my business, I want to have family time. I do have family time, but at the same time, when I'm working, sometimes I leave, go out for dinner, and then I do come to my office. I'm working till 10:30, 11 p.m., right?
Exactly.
Nothing will come easy, and I think everybody knows that. There's no easy way to become wealthy. There's no easy way to become successful, right? It does require you to put in the work.
The work, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's the thing
true.
about entrepreneurship, right? Is that it offers you the flexibility, like you said, you can spend time with your family, you're in control of the business, but also, like, everything, the buck does stop with you, right? If something needs to get done, it's not my business, so someone else will take care of it. So some days, you can take off at 3 to go be with your family. Some days you don't work till 11 o'clock at night because it needs to get done.
Exactly, yeah. And again, that's is absolutely the benefit of entrepreneurship is that you are in control, so you can kind of shovel your schedule around to make sure that you are there for when truly matters, right? Special birthdays, special events, kids, sports, you can make it happen. But again, it does require discipline and hard work. And then the one other thing I do want to touch base, because I know my time is limited here, is about the fact being an immigrant. The other thing I feel like we have with us that we bring to this country is a lot of times we feel that we should never speak up or go against, like a doctor or someone who knows more than we do, right? And I want to do a quick little story about my experience just now. I'm not saying which hospital in Charlottesville, but as I said, the reason I'm not there to show that my family, we got COVID, even though we are all vaccinated. And my mom, being from Brazil, took her to the hospital. They admitted her, and we waited probably about 8.5 hours to be taken in from the ER to the ER room, right? At the whole time, they could not give her any water, any food, which is understandable, I guess they are. But then we got there, long story short, the doctor was very quick to assess and said she needs an ICU bed. We don't have the infrastructure to take care of her. Her blood pressure is too low. It took me a quick second to kind of put my thoughts together that the scary news that my mom was heading to the ICU and they didn't have any beds in Charlottesville, would have to transfer her to Richmond or even Northern Virginia. But it took me 5 minutes, and I called the doctor back and said, "Doctor, I mean no disrespect to you, but I believe that my mom could be dehydrated more so than anything because we've been here for almost 9 hours now, and she had no water, no food, nothing. Exactly. Do you think it's possible that we can get something to her?" And he's like, took off by that I spoke up. I could tell by his reaction. He's like, "I cannot give her food, but yes, we can get her water." So we gave water. I gave her the water. Within maybe 15 minutes, her blood pressure started going up. Long story short, she got better, right? Within 2 hours, I called him again. When she improved, he gave her more fluids. My point is, if I had not spoken up, she would be in ICU right now, and God knows if she would have been left. She's home right now, right? So I think that's something as an immigrant, it's culturally for us to not question authority. But I think that's one thing we should be aware is like knowledge is out there. So educate yourself, that's right? Learn your rights, learn what is allowed for you to do. And that's the beauty of the US, right? We do have a lot of rights. So do not put your head down and do not challenge, things that you think it's right for. Exactly. So I think that's something that's very important for everyone, not only immigrants, but anyone. It's like, don't ever feel that you cannot speak your mind. Don't ever feel like, of course, respectfully and with knowledge, you will be heard. And, and your life can absolutely change just by simply questioning someone's decision because he probably not have the whole picture, right? He's an ER doctor. He's focused on that moment task. So he maybe just needed to be reminded that there was something else that could be the cause.
Exactly.
Perfectly said.
That's perfectly said. Just the lesson of you can't be afraid to ask questions of authority, because if it's good authority, they will answer the question and think about your opinion. But you can't say, "Well, I can't question anything."
Absolutely, no, that's not at all. And that's and that's I think the other great thing going back to the times that we are in with COVID. I think before COVID, we're starting to leave kind of the the industrial age, right? So we're still kind of back. Look, 5 years ago, we're still relying in factories. We're talking about car manufacturing and all that. Now, I think the shift has happened. I think now we have entered the information age. And information, it is absolutely the most powerful thing that we have. And the awesome part is it is available now to everybody, right? Internet has really made that accessible. But one little tip I want to give here before I go to any female minority or just a female entrepreneur. Cornell University has a partnership with Bank of America right now where they're offering you an entrepreneurship course that's worth, I think, $3,500, totally free for those ladies to sign up. It is a 3-month course. It's truly an awesome, Cornell is a fantastic university. That's complimentary. So the requirement that you need to be a female and you need to be an entrepreneur or a minority female. So guys, sorry, we're not on that list, but power to the ladies, but that is a fantastic resource. Just Google Cornell Bank of America partnership female entrepreneur, and then you're going to see the link there.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
We will definitely share that. We'll put that in our Today Mañana. But
Awesome.
Andre, it's been so fun to
Wonderful.
have you on. Really
Thank you.
appreciate your just the great advice, great thoughts, and we're looking forward to having you again in person soon. And we're just, thank goodness, we're really glad that your mom and your whole family are okay.
I know. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity, and absolutely, we should be able to be seeing people again in a week or so. So we're very excited.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that.
Take care. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was
good.
That was a lot of fun and really powerful advice. And just love that he shared the female entrepreneurship course at
that'd be
Cornell
great.
University.
Let's
that
make
is
sure we
free
put that on.
for female minority entrepreneurs. So just, great. A fun interview, way to learn about just things that are doing and just the power of entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah.
Just an amazing.
What he's done and how he perceives what he does is outrageous. It's just fantastic.
It is. So many businesses. So be sure to check them out. Patch Brewing Company opening in September. I think he said the soft
Second, third week,
Second, third week of September. But even today, CVille Hop on Tours, CVille Tours, CVille Travel. If you know that
you
travel
can visit
itch.
all those wineries, brewers. I mean, there's like thousands around here, aren't there?
There's a lot. I mean, the two routes, 151, 231.
That's right.
Two great routes for you to see here in Charlottesville, and CVille Hop on Tours can guide you around
That's
them.
right.
And fantastic. And from one awesome entrepreneur that was excited to see what he's doing to another. So we're really excited to have with us Krista Varanyak of Jazzercise Charlottesville. Krista, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks
Hi, Krista.
for having me. And I was shocked that you pronounced my name correctly. Most people do not.
I give it a shot. As someone whose last name sometimes
He's been practicing all night, but I don't want to say anything.
As someone whose last name often gets mispronounced, we sympathize.
Yeah.
So I always say, okay, I can get this right. I can get this right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be connected with Jazzercise Charlottesville.
Yeah. So I am from New Jersey. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I did my undergrad there. And I decided to go to grad school at the University of Georgia in Athens. I got my master's there in statistics. And while I was there, and I grew up dancing, and while I was in Athens, I rediscovered that passion for dancing and just really empowering women through movement and dancing. So I taught some classes while I was there. And when I moved to Charlottesville in 2017 to take a job at UVA, I found Jazzercise. I was looking for a program to join, and I wanted to teach. And on my first class, I said, I want to teach. And the instructor process to become an instructor at Jazzercise is actually pretty extensive. It's like a 6 to 10 week process, depending on all that for the training and everything. And the owner at the time, before I even became an instructor, she was like, you're going to be the owner one day. And that one day came in January of this year. Perfect time to buy a fitness center, in January 2021. But yeah, so I've just been really encouraged by the community we have and just the long-standing nature of Jazzercise.
Awesome. So what's kind of unique? What would you just describe as being unique about Jazzercise?
Yeah. So one of the unique parts of Jazzercise is that we've been around so long. So we were founded in 1969, so 52 years ago.
Long time.
The first class is in Chicago, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. Most people know it was super popular in the 80s as the big craze, but Jazzercise is the original dance group fitness workout. It started turning women away from looking at themselves in a mirror for a whole class, to really just focus on what you're doing, what your body's telling you to do, and just enjoy movement. And so what makes us unique is that long-standing, that we were the original and that we're still here, and that we've continued to grow and adapt with changes in the fitness industry. We have different class formats and international classes all over the place. We've adapted in this last year with live streaming classes. new equipment, all kinds of things like that. So it's the consistency yet adaptability to what's coming. Yeah.
Now, is there a range of ages where there's classes for, let's say, senior citizens and classes for really young kids or whatever it may be?
We don't have any classes that are segregated by age. We have specific classes that are taught, they're called low impact.
Okay.
So all of our classes are taught at a high intensity level, every class is high intensity, also high impact. So a lot of hopping, skipping, jumping, that kind of thing. But we do have classes that are designated low impact. So that does sometimes bring in a lower clientele, but also we have a lot of younger customers with injuries or things like that choose that low impact option. That low impact, not low intensity. Gotta
make sure you put that in there.
It's branding, yeah. It's still, I use my Apple Watch, I track my workouts, and I burn like upwards of 800 calories per class for an hour-long class. So we've got cardio and strength in every class, really complete workout.
And it's fun that so it's different types of music integrated with the class? Yeah,
so we use like current music that's out on the radio, so top 40 songs. So a lot of because we have like the royalty fees, I pay my royalty fee for our center, and we have the permission to do so. So a lot of like streaming classes and things like that don't have that permission to use the top 40 stuff. So that's another unique aspect, I think, to our program, that we have like popular music and people are singing along, and I learned so much music I probably would never listen to through Jazzercise. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, you already have some fans. We got Rachel Brady is watching this show. She says, "Go Krista."
Yeah, that's my best friend.
So nice. Thank you for watching, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
So very exciting. And so given that you just started in terms of the entrepreneurship side of Jazzercise, what would you say have been any challenges or obstacles you've overcome on the entrepreneurship? Anything that you went into this in January and said, "Oh wow, I didn't realize that this is a part of what you do once you own it"?
Everything. Yeah. So one thing that helps alleviate that is we have 3 former owners on our team. Okay. So we have Kate, Elizabeth, and Kristen. They were the 3 former owners. And Kate was an instructor for 29 years, Elizabeth 26, and Kristen is coming up on her 10 years. So I have a very supportive group behind me, and just so much knowledge within our team in general. So that helps alleviate some of the unknown things. But there's just been so much, especially, in this year of not knowing what's happening and changing policies and what's appropriate and all of those things, I think was more unexpected than I thought it would be. I kind of thought we could coast for a little bit longer. And then in May, really everything, like the floor kind of dropped with face covering mandates changing and all of that. So that component of it was much bigger than I thought it would be. But it's been good. We've made it. We're still going strong. We're still live streaming most of our classes, and we're now in studio for all of our classes are now offered in studio.
Nice.
So do you find that there's both people that come to the class and live streaming at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I counted our instructors. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we were like, what is this like split of our customers? Who's doing what? And it's about 50-50.
Wow.
We've got about 50 who are exclusively still just doing our online stuff, and about 50% coming in studio. And then there's like a middle section that's doing some of both for what works for their schedule.
And out of curiosity, those 50 that are live streaming, would they have fit into the classroom if they wanted to come, for example?
Like space-wise?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Our center is very large. Okay. We have, like, pre-COVID, had events with up to 50 people. That was maybe a little closer than anybody wanted, but comfortably we fit 35, 40 people in there to do a full workout class and not bumping into people. So yeah, we definitely have the space. Now we have our biggest classes are about 15 at our popular 9:30 time. And sometimes it's just me and a camera, which is we stream from one single camera, not this fancy setup here. But sometimes it's me, a camera, one person. So our instructors are phenomenal in being able to teach to the studio that's in there, the people online, and doing it all. We are tech experts now.
That must take some savvy to be able to both interact with the people that are right there, but also treat the camera as though like there's a person there too.
And the energy level, right? Because when you're in front of people, there's a different energy than if you're all there by yourself. You have to be thinking there's actually people out there.
100%. And early on, we only really opened up to our full schedule of in-person in June. Prior to that, from last March through June, we had the majority of being only live streamed. Wow. And we had a handful of classes that were only in person. But so our instructors, like in those early days, we had no idea what we were doing. Nobody knew what they were doing. Yeah. And we had a lot of issues early on. We were streaming from Facebook Live, and we had the music royalty to use our music, but Facebook didn't know that, and they kept cutting us off in classes, and it was always the Jonas Brothers and Dua Lipa every time. So we just stopped learning those songs. We're like, we just can't have them in anymore. And now, actually, a husband of a Jazzercise instructor in Australia developed the streaming platform that we're currently using, and a lot of Jazzercise studios are using, that we don't have that issue anymore.
Wow. So but that's really awesome that there's a community, there's also a community sense of Jazzercise, that you have people, I mean, the husband of someone in the community saying, hey, I want to help out, and here's how I can do it. Do you sense that kind of, like, there's a camaraderie with your clients at Jazzercise?
Yes, and that's really what did it for me. Like, that's why I'm hooked. That's why we have customers who've been there. Some of them since the beginning, before we even started in Charlottesville. So we've been in Charlottesville close to 30 years. And, new people coming in also, just that sense of belonging and being a part of this group. And like you said, when you go to somewhere to work out with a group of people, you feel better about it. Right. When we had those first classes open in June, people were crying, coming in, like hugging each other, and and they were like, "Wow, my push-ups at home are so much different than in the studio. I work so much harder here." So, that sense of community is what makes Jazzercise. That's our, like, special sauce, as they say.
Yeah, and I think probably between the music and the other people there, I'll bet you the time just flies so much more. Because I know doing exercise at home, I mean, an hour feels like an hour. Yeah. And there, an hour probably feels like, is it over already?
Yeah, I was never a person who liked the online or the at-home part. I got so distracted. I have a dog at home. And, I had the laundry, and let me start dinner, and I'll just, I won't do it. That's hard. Nobody's watching. And so going in the studio to teach, even when it was just me and the camera, when it was just live streaming, like, I did better. But yeah, a lot of our customers, though, they love the online, and that's where they're thriving right now. So we're hoping whatever works for them.
Whatever works for them.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So as someone who made the non-owner to entrepreneur swap, any advice you'd have for people that are thinking of, either taking a leap like that or starting their own business with something that they're passionate about?
I think talk to the people who did it before. So like I said, I'm so lucky that we have such an amazing team of instructors, and including the 3 previous owners, to be able to reach out to them, ask questions, know kind of what's coming. I'm also lucky that we're a franchise, so I have team at corporate, I have a sales manager who I can ask other questions to, and a lot of just building that sense of community, and reaching out to other business owners. I found we're located in McIntyre Plaza by CVille Coffee, and that place is just thriving with, I will say, a lot of women business owners, which is phenomenal. And so being able to connect with them and just know that we're experiencing similar struggles of, how do we deal with like this issue with a customer, or this issue with a team member, or this big weird thing happening in Charlottesville. What are we supposed to do? So just connecting with other local partners has been really awesome too.
That is,
that's important.
Just I think the mentorship, and that is awesome that you have 3 previous owners that are still connected. I'm still here. I'm still helping you out, because I think that mentorship piece is really just you get invaluable advice that really comes from experience.
And you're always faced with obstacles, and to be able turn and say, listen, I got this obstacle. Someone said, well, it wasn't the same as I did, but, here's how this particular one, how I handle it, and you say, yeah, that might work, right?
Yeah. Last week, I called one of the previous owners at like 8 p.m. and I was like, I don't know what to do. And so she was like, they're always willing to answer my silly questions, and well, sometimes not silly, but no bigger, too small for them.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah,
that is
great.
awesome. So what's next? Anything coming down the pipeline, or what's next? Where do you see CVille Jazzercise going?
I think we are working to kind of rebuild to what our normal schedule was. We're almost there, but not quite. So, pre-COVID pandemic, we were offering close to 40 plus classes a week. Wow. And we, in March, dropped to like 7 once a day. And then we like rebuilt slowly, and now we're back at 32 of our own classes, plus we have corporate classes that are supplemented that they live stream for our customers' classes, which is really cool. So rebuilding back something like the low program, that low impact stuff, is where I'm seeing us go, having some later evening classes to kind of break into that demographic.
Leave work, and you can sort of relax yourself down by doing exercise.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's awesome. Yeah, that'll be exciting when you, little by little, you keep adding. So I guess people should look for you to, little by little, even some more options, some more classes.
Yeah, and we do have a really full schedule right now. 6 a.m. is our earliest, 5:45 is our latest, and we have pretty much all day classes offered. And we have, like I said, a huge team. We have 15 instructors.
Oh, wow.
I think 12 teach regularly. Kind of a mix of things. So a variety of instructors, a variety of classes. I'm currently teaching our kickboxing format. It's called Strike. It's my favorite.
Is that high impact, high intensity?
I would think so.
It's all high intensity, but it is a high impact. Kickboxing in general is not as high impact as some of our dancier stuff because there's a lot of like muscle movement, and so that gets your heart rate up high enough. So we've got and we have the strength stuff mixed in throughout our classes, just tons of variety, I think, but also consistency is like the way I describe our program.
You don't work, there's different classes, so you work out all the different muscles.
Yep, head to toe. And a lot of people don't know that we do have strength in every class. We use hand weights, we use resistance bands, we go to the floor.
I would not have guessed that. That is good to know.
That is the biggest shock. We have this group from UVA, they come once a semester and do a big group class with us, and every time I'm like, all right, go grab the hand weights. And they're like, what? Didn't know we were doing that. It is a shock to people to know that we do strength in all of our classes.
Wow. That is very good to know.
So it's a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. You can work it all out. And so if people are interested in getting in touch with you guys and reaching out, where can people find you both in person and online?
So in person, we are at McIntyre Plaza, right behind CVille Coffee is how I always describe it. Great Harvest is also there. We're next to the ballroom. We're next to the gym. It's called the gym. Those brightly colored buildings.
Yep.
And online, we are CVille Jazzercise on Instagram, Facebook, CVille Jazzercise at Comcast.net to connect even more. And we don't have a nice short website, but if you look CVille Jazzercise, you'll find us.
Yeah, exactly. The beauty of Google. CVille Jazzercise.
Exactly.
Go to find CVille Jazzercise on Facebook, on Instagram, and you can get connected. And 5:45, it's perfect for people coming off work.
Yes,
exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or 6 o'clock, just before you go to work, right, Alex?
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Yep. 6 a.m. is a different story.
We have our loyal 6 a.m. crew.
God bless the 6 a.m.
It's
crew.
our like second biggest class. It's 9:30 and 6 a.m. are like our two biggest.
Wow.
Good for them.
They do it from home though, so they don't have to drive in. That's our biggest streaming class.
Okay.
But we do have a solid in-person
too.
too.
That's a solid group. Oh.
I can't do it. I try so hard and I can't do it.
I can sympathize with that too. Oh, well, Krista, it's been so much fun.
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thanks
for joining us.
Yeah, it's great talking with you.
Learned so much.
I learned a lot. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's funny because we have one of our clients lives in New York. She does kickboxing too, right? And she's I think she's like 68, 69 years old, and she does, I forget the other dance that she does also, but what she does with her sister. And I was thinking, kickboxing at 69 years old is like, what exactly is that, right? But now I understand. I mean, from the point of view of dancing, and I assume what they do is use some muscles that are part of the kickboxing regime or whatever it may be. But it's interesting to hear that even there they have the kickboxing part.
A lot of fun. Yeah, two great guests.
Oh yes,
today.
Yes.
Just so much energy and fun, and with a lot.
That's
of fun
how you know they're entrepreneurs.
That's how you know they're entrepreneurs. They love what
energy
they do.
level, and
they have the energy, and it shows through.
And what's amazing with Krista, I mean, she's a statistic major, and then she goes into. I mean, isn't that amazing?
To that, just to
follow her dream one way or another.
Exactly. Which is what it's about.
Exactly.
If you work hard, you put in the effort, you have the passion, like Andre was saying, then you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it in this country. Yeah. And here in Charlottesville.
Here in Charlottesville. That's
here
right.
In Charlottesville.
That's right.
Next week's going to be a lot of fun too. I know we have Harvey Mayorga, so the owner of
Guajitos, okay.
Miami Eatery here in Charlottesville. That one I'm very excited for.
Of course.
Being big fans.
I wonder why.
That we are. As well as David McCormick from the Charlottesville Chamber Music Festival.
Oh, that's right, because the festival's coming up soon.
Yep, so
exactly.
The amazing food of Guajitos. With
some chamber
music. Some classical chamber music. It's perfect. You know, Niche probably would definitely insist that he'll be here. He's like, I have to be there.
I have to be there.
I have to be here.
For both.
For both.
That's right.
For both.
Just
I want
in
to
case.
listen to both, just in case. Just really appreciate our two guests today. Really appreciate our sponsors, Emergent Financial Services, Cristel, Noel, State Farm Agency, Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, and always love being on the I Love CVille Network.
Love it. Yes.
Set here, and just Judah. He really shined.
I appreciate Judah's here, and Eliza's here too. Let's not forget Eliza.
Here. You know, you can check out Instagram for Xavier's.
Well, no, that just peps up the room. I mean, the minute you walk in, Eliza's there.
I know.
Saying hello.
She's the happiest person to see you.
Absolutely.
You know,
no doubt about it.
The guest, Judah and I are like, oh, okay, here's Xavier. And Eliza's like, oh, Xavier, he's here. My favorite person.
Well, I don't know what favorite, but.
All right, you're right.
Keith is up there. Judah's got to be on top, yeah.
Yeah, Judah's on top. You and Keith are
my fight is with Keith,
battle
that's right.
For second place. And of course, thank you to our audience. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. Just really appreciate. Please like and share. Hopefully there's nothing bad going on with that's the second one today. But please do like and share. Tell your friends about it. Send us if you have any questions, anything you wanted Xavier and I to talk about in the opening segments, any great entrepreneurs you know that you want to share with the Today Mañana audience in the show, send them our way. We love to have them on and just talk with them. And just thank you all so much for following us. Be sure to check out the video, share it with people, and see us next week, as we'll have Harvey Mayorga from Guajitos Miami Eatery and David McCormick from Charlottesville Chamber Music Festival.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it.
As always.
And until then, until next week, we will see you. Hasta mañana.